Sonya and Sacha, for real.
This is a Sonya and Sacha for Real show, and happy Social Inclusion Week, Sash.
This is where we all get to hug each other. Do we get to hug? Do we get to?
No, well, we can virtual hug. You can hug the people you're closest with. You can do an elbow tap. You can do a leg lift. You can do whatever you want, really.
Okay, so a leg lift with no touching. Is that what our Social Inclusion Week actually means?
Do you remember Bert Newton used to say, "Oh, I'm so excited, I used to run around with one leg in the air." That's what we're doing this Social Inclusion Week. So we've got the best guest who created this whole thing.
We've actually been needing social inclusion for the last 7 months. That's what we have been needing. So this is perfect timing. On our 28 days of no COVID. This is perfect.
Yay for us. We did it. We finally did it. So let me just introduce our beautiful guests. So Jonathon Charles Welch, choral conductor, opera singer, Australian Order of Australia member, excuse me. He needs to put the letters at the end of his name. Do you mind?
Darling, tell you who. That's great.
In 2007, in 2006, established the Choir of Hard Knocks. Do you know the Choir of Hard Knocks?
I do.
There's a great documentary about it.
Yes.
And it's about how this brilliant man put together a whole lot of people experiencing homelessness and disadvantaged people and made a bloody brilliant choir out of it. And we've got the man who did it right now. Could you please welcome Go Crazy, Jonathon Welch. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jonathon.
Thank you. I always feel tired when I hear that, that list of things that I've done over the last 40 years. I go, oh, no wonder I'm tired.
And you know what? You did it. You did them all.
You did them all.
Inclusion Week, and you created this. You've put it together. Please tell us about what it all means.
Well, first of all, it's great to be with you, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I didn't realise that we're all in the same little pod.
We're in the same wood, yes.
We're almost in our same 5 kilometres. We could have come and hung out with each other.
Well, you're on your trampoline there.
Yeah, I know.
I could have got out into my trampoline, that boy's trampoline, but we could have just jumped from
yeah. I'm not that good on the trampoline, so I can't jump to your house, but I'll definitely give it a go to just jump to the clothesline.
We want to see a few tricks before we finish.
Oh, God, that so scares me.
You can psych yourself up for that.
I will, okay.
But Social Inclusion Week began really, I suppose, as a concept in my mind after the Choir of Hard Knocks came into everybody's lounge rooms in 2007. And I had so many people stop me on the streets, in the supermarkets and, in office works and saying, oh, I love what you do, but I'm not a musician or a singer. And, I really want to try and help in my community and help those people who are perhaps less fortunate to connect. So the germ of the seed really came as an inspiration out of Choir of Hard Knocks. Yeah. And so I had the great fortune to meet with Tanya Plibersek and Julia Gillard. This is when the Rudd government had just come into office at the beginning, at the end of 2007, coming into 2008. And they were bringing in the social inclusion agenda, I suppose, which had been created originally, I think, in France and Canada. And it's quite interesting because the concept of Choir of Hard Knocks and creating what we call street choirs now, which is a worldwide phenomenon. There are now, as a result of the Choir of Hard Knocks documentary, which I think every expat Aussie got a copy of in their Christmas stocking in 2007. Yeah. Some of mine ready to receive the concept of the street choirs has now gone worldwide. And there are street choirs all through America. But the concept, and England, I visited the choir of High Hopes in Ireland. I visited the choir with No Name and performed with him in London. The Singers at the Street in San Francisco. I've performed with Dallas Street Choir in Texas. But the concept of social inclusion really was also working off what the government at that time were really trying to achieve. And I felt that their agenda was very much top down, and that really it was the community that needed to take responsibility for this issue to make it long lasting. Yes. And I'm pleased that I actually stood my ground with the government, because they said, how are you going to create, events all around the country and create social inclusion week? And I said, well, I'm not going to do it. But I'm going to encourage everybody else to connect and collaborate and celebrate inclusion in this country. So, and I'm very pleased I did, because with the change of government, of course, the inclusion department went.
Yes.
But everybody, particularly I have to say in the welfare sector, and councils and everybody around the country have still included, the inclusion agenda has become very, very important, especially this year when we've had so much exclusion from each other. So that's how it all kind of started. And I reflected back on how I grew up. I grew up in Ripponlea, not far from the ABC television station, actually, and the studios there. And, you know, my mum used to each day check on the neighbours on each side of the fence, and they'd be handing over, you know, lemon meringue pies and fresh lemons, and that she was constantly, they were always looking out for each other. And so I think that very much has formed the idea of and the embryo for the work that I've been doing now for the last 20 years here in Australia. But it's just about kindness and caring, and just sometimes, you know, you're walking along the street, you know, just saying hello. You know, and people often will go, "Oh, I've actually experienced it during lockdown." You know, we were able to go for our walks and things. I've been walking along Maribyrnong River, but I've also been going to Bringbank Park too.
Same.
Absolutely stunning. We'll have to meet up and have a coffee.
I think so.
We have too. We do. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But you know, but people are shocked when you kind of just say, "Oh, it's harder over the masks." You kind of, you know, raise your eyes and go, "Hello." But the response is always, oh, you know, oh, hello. And often you can never underestimate also the gift of an invitation, and inviting somebody to, you know, come and have a cup of coffee with you, or even doing this, inviting somebody to come and share a conversation, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's a phone chat or whatever it is. I think the gift of an invitation is one of the most powerful things that we can do as human beings to share and connect with each other.
Oh, absolutely. Beautiful.
Jonathan, it's what I've loved about this story that you've just told us is that you got all of this passion and drive purely from when your mum was checking on her neighbours. And I think the power of that is the example of what we can do as parents by showing that kindness, and then that becomes our legacy of what our children get to see. And it's such an important thing for us as adults to be able to show our kids, so that this just continues on, because we really have grown quite a privileged group of young people right now that have much more opportunities than they ever had. And so showing us as parents, really showing kindness and teaching them, takes it to that next level where they can actually grow up with it. And then, you know, I would have to pinch myself if I was you to be able to think of the impact that I've made.
Oh, I don't think about it. You know, I'm one of these people that I just do it, and you know, and that's for other people, I suppose, to measure that impact in the years to come. But even, you know, even during the lockdown, the first lockdown, where we are here in Niddrie, we're in a cul-de-sac street, and we have some very elderly neighbours across the road from us, and we just moved into this area over the last 12 months, and I decided that at 5 o'clock, I was quite worried about them actually, because they're in their 80s opposite, and we've got some lovely young families next to us. But I decided that during the lockdown at 5 o'clock on Sundays, this is during winter, we went out, and the first day we went out into the street and banged. I took my boys out, so I've got two boys who are 11 and 13. They thought it was absolutely bonkers. And I banged saucepans. And everybody kind of came out in the street going, "Oh, is the war over? What's happening?"
It's the war over.
And that started this wonderful, and for several months, just to make sure once a week, on Sunday at 5 o'clock, we'd make sure everybody was okay, and we'd come just into our driveways, and we'd, you know, everybody, it became such a fun thing that everybody was banging their saucepans, and people would come out into the streets. And you know, that, I think that very simple act, you know, was really just showed that we cared about, even though we didn't see each other and we weren't in each other's lives and we couldn't be in each other's lives, you can still just take, you know, you can take that little bit of time just to reach out and make sure that those, you know, people around you are okay. And
Yes.
it's not hard. And, you know, and I think from that, we've got beautiful friendships now with our neighbours. In fact, Ron and Norma, who live across the road here, during the lockdown, celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's
And they couldn't
Oh,
have
wow.
they couldn't have their kids and the grandkids over and all that sort of stuff. So my amazing partner went out to the garage and got a piece of cardboard, and the boys, and they rewrite a sign, and we went and got some flowers. And so on that day, it was a Thursday, I think, actually, we went out and banged the saucepans, and Ron and Norma came out, and we were able to, you know, stand with a sign and wish them a happy anniversary and gave them some flowers. But we didn't know that Norma was an amazing artist. And 2 days later, my husband Ron, there was a knock at the front door, and we thought, oh, this is, you know, I haven't had anybody at the door for a while.
Got a bit excited. Someone was at the door.
And he brought over a beautiful painting that she had done for us,
Oh.
the flowers that we gave her.
Wow.
So we now have this beautiful framed picture, this watercolour picture of these flowers that we. So I suppose what I'm trying to do now these days, my new arts charity that Social Inclusion Week sits under now is called Play It Forward.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided to finish with Choir of Hard Knocks 18 months ago, I suppose in the 12 months before that, I started to think about, okay, how do I want to continue this legacy through arts and through music as well too? And I loved the movie Pay It Forward. Do you remember seeing that with Kevin Spacey?
Oh my God, that is my favourite movie. One of my favourite, and it's just come on Netflix now. It's just come on Netflix this week, and we watched it on Saturday night. It's my favourite movie. Love it.
We just watched it with the boys for the first time the other day because they've heard, you know, they've seen the logo and they've seen Play It Forward, and they know that's the work that I do now through my new arts charity.
Yeah,
But they
it's just come on Netflix.
Yeah, so about a decade ago, when I was finishing with choir, starting to kind of choir of Hard Knocks in its early days, I actually trademarked. The name came into my head, and I thought, oh, I'm just going to sit on that.
Yep.
While and. So I launched Play It Forward now because I think we all have, whether it's your interest, you're able to, you know, contribute through music or art or sport or whatever it is, we're all able to make a contribution back to the world through what we're passionate about. And it can be in such a simple way. It doesn't have to be, oh, let's create a national, you know, event for everybody to celebrate every year. And it's amazing though, people have still, that we know of, you know, there are hundreds of events that people, even this week, are creating. In the councils have picked it up. A lot of welfare agencies and great, you know, organisations who are doing great work already in the inclusion space, are using it to promote and highlight what they do. And that's exactly what I wanted this to do.
Oh, Jonathan, we just think you're incredible. I don't know how you don't just walk around constantly covered in goosebumps, because we certainly have been during this whole interview. I think we need to come back and do like an hour with you and let's actually really dig deep into, you know, the impact that you've had, because what an incredible life. Thank you so much for being with us today on the Sonya and Sacha For Real show. If you would like to get involved in paying it forward in social inclusion.
It's playitforward.org.au. So we actually have choirs around here. I've in fact created a choir entirely virtually since September with the Moonee Valley Council who supported it.
Yep.
An entire choir that in fact at 11 o'clock today, if you go to Play It Forward, the Facebook page, you will see the Voices of Moonee Valley's first performance ever virtually as a virtual choir at 11 o'clock today. That's launching.
Incredible.
And socialinclusionweek.com.au or .com.aus, as Effie used to say.
That's all we say.
Socialinclusionweek.com.aus.
All right, thank you very much. Good, thanks. All right. All right. Happy Social Inclusion Week, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jonathan.
And let's catch up for that coffee. You need to bounce.
Absolutely. Hey, look, I'm up and down. I'm up and down. Look, I'm up and down.
You're listening to Brimbank Live and Live FM. This is the Sonya and Sacha For Real show.
Sonya and Sacha, For Real.